so fun when a game just makes you want to bug out? I mean, look, I wouldn't say I'm an angry guy, but there's certain games that push you towards that threshold where you just want to have a fit.
Take this game for example, Ninja Gaiden for the Nintendo Entertainment System, released by Tecmo in 1989.
And I think we've come to the conclusion that it's Gaiden, not Gaiden. We can thank the wizard for assuring us of that.
Ninja Gaiden!
Now let me be clear, I love this game, and I have very fond memories of it from when I was young. Like most of my games as a kid, my dad was the one who introduced me to Ninja Gaiden. I was a fan of Mario and Contra during that time, so jumping into an action platformer like this wasn't exactly new to me, but it felt fresh with its sword fighting combat instead of shooting aliens or jumping on Goombas. And a unique art style that stood on its own against other games I was playing at the time. And I can't forget about the music. My god, this is some of the best music the 8-bit generation had to offer. Now, playing this game in my youth, I recognized its difficulty right away.
This game is tough as shit.
There are so many elements that make it unforgettably difficult, whether it's the respawning enemies, which was common on NES, the punchback when your character is hit, difficult jumps, tedious boss fights, extremely fast enemy speeds, the list goes on. I could barely make it to the third act as a kid. I struggled so much with this game, but I always tried to push forward because I enjoyed the game a lot and it was enough for me to keep trying. There's so much trial and error in this game, you constantly have to do things over and over to figure out how to do it just right. But even then, after so much practice, you find yourself still running into problems and screwing up the whole process. Sometimes, I think I'll just take it slow, try to figure out the level at my own pace. But of course, there's a time limit.
So many NES games had a time limit, and I think it's a problem in every single one of them.
There is no point in having one, it's just an extra thing to bug out about. With lots of practice, I've been able to make my way to the final act of the game in previous years, but with no help from online sources and attempting to do it on my own, I suck at this final act. The game throws so much at you, you'll basically have to write out a chart of what will be coming at you from where. I don't necessarily think I will never beat this game, but it will take me a lot more practice and commitment to get there. There's a lot of nonsense ahead of me. For example, the final boss consists of 3 forms. If you get to the final boss and beat any of the forms on your first attempt, your health will regenerate between segments. However, if you die and need to use a continue, your health will not regenerate between segments going forward. You've got to do all 3 fights on 1 health bar.
This game might suck.
I grew up during the time where video game emulation was becoming very strong, especially for the older generation consoles. This was indeed the first way I played Ninja Gaiden, since I didn't have an actual NES until years later.
On the emulator, you can put in a cheat code for invincibility. So with that, I've seen the entirety of the game.
I love the story as it concludes, I think the final bosses are neat, and all around I genuinely do think this is an astonishing game. A personal favorite from my childhood that of course still has stumped me without the use of cheat codes. When it comes to the follow-up games, I've never really gotten into any of them. Ninja Gaiden 2 and 3 on NES continue the difficulty and honestly take it up a notch in certain ways, but I've never felt the same connection to those ones that I do the first game.
Yeah, there was also a Super Nintendo port.
On later consoles, there are the remake Ninja Gaiden games that I've never taken a crack at before, but perhaps I should. But all things considered, Ninja Gaiden 1 on NES has always had me coming back to it, even with its insane difficulty and outright annoying gameplay at times.
It's such an iconic title in the NES library, and one day, certainly someday, I shall take the time and conquer it.